We're keeping a very close eye on this tropical wave in the Caribbean. What needs to happen to keep it away from Florida?
Plus, wildlife officials say they've busted a local gator poaching ring. How a video on social media kicked off the investigation. Coming up. 3 systems turning in the tropics this afternoon, and our first warning weather team is tracking 2 of them moving side by side.
The test of a world-class ride is not just the adrenaline rush. It's ensuring the safety of the rider while giving them that adrenaline rush.
A new lawsuit filed over the same roller coaster a man died after riding. What it says happened when a woman rode the ride.
A man accused of pulling the trigger in a road rage shooting arrested hundreds of miles away. What else they found when they arrested the suspect?
And some parents are outraged. They say their kids are now getting a ticket after they were hit by a car while riding e-bikes.
An alligator poaching ring busted in Brevard County. How officers managed to track the suspects down.
WESH 2 News starts now.
Now at 4, the focus on the tropics is intensifying as a system near the Dominican Republic starts to get its act together and could, and we stress could, get close to the Florida coast.
First warning meteorologist Cam Tran has the latest track showing them moving along the East Coast. Cam.
That's right. And let me first show you the latest satellite imagery because this is fairly impressive as it's moving away. Invest 94L is moving away from Hispaniola. A look at the satellite imagery shows a little bit better organization. In fact, you can see that burst of convection in that last screen there, the last shot, showing that thunderstorm activity is starting to wrap around there. So again, signs this is starting to get better organized. Moving to the northwest at 17 miles per hour, now winds of 30 miles per hour. And here's a look at the day-to-day computer spaghetti plot models here. So by Friday afternoon, most of the models having this moving towards the southern Bahamas. So tomorrow afternoon, a few outliers do having it moving west towards Cuba. Then as we go into Saturday afternoon to early evening by 6 o'clock, majority of the model, the big consensus, has it moving over the central Bahamas. And this is where we do believe by Saturday night, this is going to be either a tropical pressure or possibly even our tropical storm. Then as we go into Sunday, most of the models do having it clearing either the northern Bahamas, already clearing it by then. And then look what happens Monday night into Tuesday. Some of the models having it moving inland over the Carolinas, which is why we have to watch this fairly closely, not even just for us here in Central Florida, but our friends and neighbors up to the north across the southeast as well. So, but you can see the majority of the models do keep it offshore, but it's a little too uncomfortably close though to the east coast of Florida. So here's what we know about Invest 94L. It's a little too early to know exactly where this could go, but we do believe this is going to be a tropical depression, possibly a tropical storm by this weekend. And regardless of any development, it is expected to bring rough surf and marine conditions to our Atlantic Florida coastlines by early next week. I'm also tracking a couple of strong thunderstorms that are firing up this afternoon. I'll look at our radar in a few minutes.
All right, Cam, our first warning weather team is here to get you through the peak of hurricane season, which we still are in. Download the WESH News app for the latest advisories right on our homepage, along with a full hurricane guide for everything you need to know to stay prepared. As the family of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala seeks answers about what exactly led to his death after riding Stardust Racers, we're learned a new lawsuit has been filed against Universal.
The complaint comes from a Central Florida woman who says that same coaster at Epic Universe caused her head to shake violently and slam against her seat's headrest. WESH 2 investigative reporter Justin Schecker sat down with her attorney. He joins us live now from outside the theme park. Justin.
Well, this new complaint says the Seminole County woman had an expectation that the rides inside Epic Universe would be reasonably safe. One of the allegations is that Universal failed to properly restrain her head while riding Stardust Racers. And we heard yesterday from attorney Ben Crump that his team is looking into the restraint on that roller coaster, whether it factored into Kevin's tragic death. Universal did not respond to my request for comment about this new lawsuit. Covering Orange County Live outside Epic Universe, I'm Justin Schecker, WESH 2 News.
Also developing this afternoon, a big break in the murder of an 18-year-old woman in Orange County.
Sheriff's deputies today announced they've arrested 2 men in connection with the attack. WESH 2's Stuart Moore joining us now here with more on the investigation. Stu.
And guys, those 2 men tried to get out of jail earlier today for their bond hearing. But first, these 2 men, Jonathan Martinez, 20 years old, and Joshua Benitez Rodriguez, are behind bars this afternoon in connection to the murder of Caramar Nicole Rios. Deputies say they arrested them and charged them with second-degree murder with a firearm and shooting into an occupied vehicle. Right now, the Orange County Sheriff's Office is not releasing any information about if the suspects knew the victim, what their motives were, or if there are any more suspects who are out there. Now, you may remember this shooting happened back on September 9th on Sand Lake Road near Orange Blossom Trail. Deputies say they found 18-year-old Caramar Nicole Rios dead inside of her car after she was shot. On the scene, we saw 2 white sedans towed, the victim's Toyota and a white Infiniti. Now, Martinez and Benitez Rodriguez both just appeared before that judge. They were denied bond on the second-degree murder charge. Jesse, back to you.
All right, Stu, thank you. Right now, this man is sitting in jail, charged in a case of road rage that left another man shot in the face. WESH 2's Lindsay Sablon live outside the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. And Lindsay, detectives say this case took them outside Central Florida.
Jesse, they said this case took them 200 miles away. Deputies who are in this office right behind me say that shooting happened Tuesday afternoon in Point Siena, and then the suspect's girlfriend helped him get away, driving him all the way down to Hialeah in Miami-Dade County, and that is where detectives caught up with him. A simple fight to get in front of each other is what led up to all of this. As for that victim who was shot in the face, we are told he is still in the hospital. The driver is out. The suspect, once he's extradited back up here to Osceola County, will then face several charges, including attempted murder. Covering Osceola County, Lindsay Sablon, WESH 2 News.
Starting today, people across Florida are allowed to carry a gun openly, but there are some restrictions. This all comes after an appeals court said the state's open carry ban was unconstitutional. That means in many places, Floridians don't have to conceal their weapons. There are some exemptions, though, including police stations, prisons and jails, courthouses, polling places, government meetings, schools, and bars. We do have a full list right now on WESH.com.
There's a new controversy over a plan to transform a big piece of land in Eatonville.
Yeah, this is quite the story. This week, the town's mayor announced a deal to redevelop the historic Hungerford property on Kennedy Boulevard. As WESH 2's Bob Hazen reports, the town council is now holding an emergency meeting about that plan tonight. Right now, we are just days away from a government shutdown.
And still no deal in sight. Why this time it could mean layoffs for federal employees.
A creepy, possibly disease-carrying worm is crawling around Florida. Awesome. But scientists say there's a very specific way to get rid of it.
One man has been arrested and charged, and there's warrants out for 3 others as Fish and Wildlife officers investigate the illegal capture and killing of alligators here along the St. Johns River. I'm WESH 2's Greg Fox with the details in this story.
Get in your morning routine and wake up with WESH 2 News Sunrise.
Because when you start the day informed, you stay a step ahead.
Get overnight breaking news. News that's local to your neighborhood.
Real-time weather.
A few showers starting to pop up.
And live traffic conditions.
Expect those delays there this morning.
Everything you need to know
before you head out the door.
Make WESH 2 News Sunrise part of your morning.
Good morning. I'm Alan Campbell.
And I'm Meredith McDonough.
Weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m.
Wildlife investigators are honing in on a group they say is poaching gators.
One of them has been charged and 3 others are being sought in this case over on the coast. WESH 2's Greg Fox has the details, and we warn you, some of these images are disturbing. And a reminder, you can provide tips to investigators simply by logging on to myfwc.com.
People in Southwest Florida are reporting seeing the potentially dangerous New Guinea flatworm around. This is what they look like. A woman on the Gulf Coast says she's seen several of them in her driveway. Experts say the flatworm is invasive and primarily spreads through potted plants. It can carry a parasite that is dangerous to both humans and animals. The University of Florida professor says you can kill it with boiling water or salt, but there is one thing to avoid.
What you do not want to do with these flatworms is chop them up into pieces, because these flatworms are planarians that can regenerate from pieces.
Ew.
Oh, fun. That means the worm could grow back into separate worms. Okay. Even though they are invasive, FWC says you don't have to report sightings because they're already widespread.
It's like a horror movie.
Fun.
Oh, no. All right. I need a minute. Okay. It's been a busy day on the Space Coast. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off just after 4:30 this morning.
This is a good solution. Yeah. Let's go to space.
Let's go to space. I know. There's no worms there.
No worms
It was carrying a batch of Starlink internet satellites. And then about 4 hours later, a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket blasted off. That mission was for Amazon's Project Kuiper. And if you missed either of those rocket launches, good news. SpaceX is planning another one. They always are. A Falcon 9 is set to send up a batch of Starlink internet satellites again on Sunday between 3:30 and 7:30.
Can I go to space with you guys?
Come on.
You are
No
welcome.
worries there. Let's
that
go.
story is still weirded out about
Right? I know. We need some time to recover from that one. Okay. So a lot going on in the Weather Center. So we are seeing some. I'm looking out the window because it was looking a little gray here for a minute.
It's definitely gray here. We've got showers and thunderstorms popping up, and then we also have the tropics as well. So I'm going to knock out both, but we'll start off with the tropics first. Latest on Invest 94L bringing heavy rain right now over the Dominican Republic, moving northwest at 17 miles per hour, winds of 30 miles per hour. This is expected to get better organized in the upcoming days and become either a tropical depression or even a tropical storm by this weekend. And we're monitoring this very closely because, as you can see, taking a look at the latest computer spaghetti plot models here, you can see that it's pretty much going to stay right now for most of the models showing it staying offshore away from the coast of Florida. However, there are a few that still push it a little bit too close to the west for comfort, including, as we take a closer look, by about day 4 or 5. So as we get into early next week, one of the models having it moving over the first coast, but other models having it moving over Georgia or the Carolinas. So way too early to know exactly where this could go. That's why we have to watch this closely for impacts, not just for us here in Central Florida, but also our friends up north in Georgia and the Carolinas. Now, those are the latest tropical models. I want to show you one of the long-range models is also favoring more of a westerly track here. You can see here's a look at Sunday night. This is the European model. Notice that this system has it moving over the northern Bahamas about late day Sunday here, according to European. Then as we go to Sunday night to Monday, look how it jogs a little farther to the west here, too close for comfort. And then as we go into about late Monday night into Tuesday, the European does bring it inland across the Carolinas. So there's a lot in the spread of where this could possibly go, which is why you have to check back with us as we get more data. Since this is still an invest, we don't have the cone or all the tracks and stuff yet. So check back with us as we get more information. Hurricane hunters are actually flying into the system right now. Live look outside, gloomy skies as we take a live look at Daytona Beach, where we're currently at 78 degrees there. 91 in Sanford, 92 though in Orlando. We do have a very strong thunderstorm over Volusia County right now. It's this cell over Samsula. This is producing hail as well as winds over 50 miles per hour. In fact, I just pinged that hail core. We're looking at a ½ inch diameter hail there near Samsula as that thunderstorm is meandering south. Out towards the metro, we have some heavy rain in Ocoee, out by the theme parks, Popka, Longwood, Maitland, also in Sanford this afternoon, Paisley, Astor, and Sorrento all getting in some showers and thunderstorms. This is all due to the sea breezes working their way inland. We are expecting more collisions through the evening, so about 7 o'clock, still looking at stormy skies, especially for I-4 on eastward. By the time we get into around 9 to 10 o'clock tonight, a few lingering storms along the coast. Otherwise, things should start to dry on out. 12-hour forecast, keeping that stormy weather around through this evening. Overnight, we'll see those lows fall down into the mid-70s. And as we take a look at your Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast, we are looking at higher rain coverage tomorrow with a 60% chance of rain. Upcoming weekend, a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms, and then all eyes on the tropics for early next week. Coming up in the 4:30 half hour, have more Invest 94L and the indirect impacts we could see regardless of whatever develops coming up.
First Warning Weather on WESH 2 is sponsored by Florida Blue.
Starbucks is closing more stores and doing a second round of layoffs at headquarters.
The CEO announced today that it will shut down hundreds of stores this month. It's the latest major change from new CEO Brian Niccol, who is pushing what he calls a back to Starbucks strategy, focusing on revitalizing coffee houses and enhancing the customer experience. The company expects its restructuring efforts to cost about $1 billion.
Meantime, the number of people filing for unemployment for the first time dropped to the lowest it's been since July. There were about 218,000 claims made last week, a drop of 14,000 from the week before that. It's a sign layoffs aren't happening as often as the labor market weakens. Amazon is settling with the Federal Trade Commission over allegations it tricked people into joining Amazon Prime. Amazon will pay $2.5 billion after 3 days of trial in court. The FTC's lawsuit claimed Amazon tricked millions into signing up for Prime and sabotaged people's attempts to cancel.
A man calls 911 telling them his girlfriend stole his guns.
But he's the one that ended up in handcuffs. How police say he made the guns at home as a fun project.
How they came to the decision that they have is beyond me.
A driver, 2 kids, and a crash involving motorized bikes. So why did everyone get cited? The reason next.
WESH 2 News starts now.
Right now, our first warning weather team is waiting for the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center about a lot of attention this afternoon.
And we're tracking afternoon storms. First warning meteorologist Ken Tran keeping an eye on everything. Cam.
That's right. Let's start off with the tropics here. The latest on Invest 94L, winds of 30 miles per hour moving northwest at 17. As we analyze the latest satellite imagery on this, it is actually looking better organized, especially as it's moving northwest away from the landmass of Hispaniola. As it moves northwest, it's also going to tap into some extremely warm waters of the Caribbean. You can see water temperatures right around the mid-80s. That is prime fuel for anything to develop, which is why we are expecting this to become likely a tropical pressure or even a tropical storm by this weekend. Here's a look at the intensity models for Invest 94L. You can see by tomorrow, a tropical depression, and some of the models, again, the tropical storm status by about midday Saturday into Sunday. So we'll watch this very closely as we head into the weekend. We're also watching it closely for any potential impacts we could see here in Central Florida. Way too early to know, but let me show you a look at our in-house computer models here. The Futurecast, you can see by tomorrow evening, it's making its approach over the southern Bahamas. By about Saturday night, Invest 94L, what is right now Invest 94L, gets better organized as it's moving over the central Bahamas there. And then by Sunday, look how well organized that system is expected to be by Sunday afternoon as it's making its approach just southeast of Florida. Coming up in about 15 minutes, I'll show you the latest computer spaghetti plot models as well as what the long-range models are indicating and track out a busy afternoon with showers and thunderstorms. That's all coming up.
2 kids on motorized bikes in DeLand had a close call with an SUV after it cut a turn too short. We told you about this earlier. Now all 3 are getting tickets.
Yeah, WESH 2's Volusia County reporter Pamela Combe tells us what happened and why the kids are also in trouble.
Officers say the middle schooler won't be. He's getting a mandatory court appearance citation.
The turnpike in Osceola County is back open after a crash shut it down this morning. 2 people were airlifted to the hospital in St. Cloud after this crash. State troopers say a box truck and a car hauler crashed into each other. You can see the medical helicopter sitting on the turnpike as crews responded to the scene. The crash is still under investigation.
Drone 2 flew over what's left of a mansion that burned last night in Windermere. We first told you of this on WESH 2 News at 11 last night. This is on Keens Point. 50 firefighters were there. No one was inside. The fire marshal is now investigating.
A former Miami-Dade police officer who was fired from his job earlier this year was arrested in Volusia County, charged with impersonating a police officer. So the sheriff's office says they responded to a home in DeLand and found Paul Flutie in the driveway. He claimed he was a Miami-Dade police officer working with the U.S. Marshals to find a missing girl. Deputies say after his arrest, Flutie provided his old badge and credentials, quote, out of habit, and said it was by mistake and accidentally claimed to be a police officer. Documentation gathered during the investigation suggests he's actually a private investigator who may have been in the area for an insurance investigation.
Charlie Kirk's name will not be on a Brevard County road. Melbourne City Council members rejected Mayor Paul Alfrey's idea to rename Cypress Avenue after the late conservative activist. Most of the people that spoke at the public meeting talking about this said the move was political. Council ultimately decided against the idea.
New details about a Brevard County man's arrest. The convicted felon is facing charges after Rockledge police say he used a 3D printer to make guns inside a home.
But police now say he actually told on himself when he called to say his girlfriend took the weapons. The Brevard County Bomb Squad helped with the search of the home on Pennsylvania Avenue. Rockledge police say there will likely be more charges.
A more than decade-long push by business groups will pay off next week with the end of a state sales tax on commercial leases. The business rent tax will go away October 1st after 57 years. This change is all part of a tax package that lawmakers passed in June. Over the past decade, with business groups clamoring against the tax, lawmakers slowly chipped away at the rent tax rate. The elimination is projected to collectively save businesses, get this, more than $1 billion during the current fiscal year.
This was a $3 billion tax, and Florida was the only state in the country that's had it. And so by Florida eliminating the business rent tax, it's going to lower the cost of doing business in Florida, which will help lower the cost of living here.
The change will come as nearly 30 new laws hit the books October 1st. And federal funding is set to run out in just 5 days, and the White House is now telling agencies to prepare for mass firings of federal workers.
White House correspondent Christopher Salas explains it's a major shift from the typical layoffs we've seen in the past.
The family of one of the victims who died in that deadly collision between a passenger plane and a military helicopter are taking legal action. It happened back in January. The crash killed 67 people. The lawsuit filed yesterday alleges the airlines and government agencies, quote, utterly failed in their responsibilities to the traveling public. It names American Airlines and its regional partner, the Army and the FAA, as defendants. The widow of Casey Crafton from Connecticut, who is raising 3 young boys, filed the lawsuit. The family's lawyer called the crash predictable and preventable.
President Trump is expected to sign a new executive order on a TikTok deal. It would let U.S. investors buy about 80% of the platform's U.S. assets. Trump says Chinese President Xi Jinping agrees with the deal, but it still needs regulatory approval. Trump has delayed the TikTok ban several times, so a deal could happen.
An abortion drug is under the microscope. The Food and Drug Administration is set to review the safety and efficacy of mifepristone. Now, specifically, they want to look at how it can be safely dispensed. The Trump administration welcomes this move, while critics say this will be the start of federal limits on access to drugs like this. Well, the arts, as we know, are an outlet for creativity and expression.
But for some kids, it's doing much more to set them on a better path in life. Did you ever think you would be in a music studio recording a song?
No, never. I didn't think life would bring me here.
See how a Central Florida nonprofit is taking kids to studios and getting them off the streets and into the recording booth.
Closed captioning is sponsored by your Southern Lexus dealer.
WESH 2 celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month with NASCAR driver Nick Sanchez.
I'm proud of my Hispanic heritage. My dad immigrated from Cuba when he was 8 years old. Growing up, he taught me the importance of family, hard work, and dedication. Being raised in Miami, racing at the NASCAR level has always been a dream of mine. The lessons I've learned from my parents helped me turn that dream into a reality.
Hispanic Heritage Month on WESH 2 is sponsored by Advent Health.
Time and again, experts on kids' behavior Arts are an outlet to process and express what they may be going through.
And now there's a Central Florida nonprofit helping kids here do just that and more.
All right, hands down, one of my favorite Saving Our Streets stories that we've ever done.
Just
I love that.
Cool people in Central Florida doing cool things for good reasons.
Yeah, and making a huge impact on kids' lives. So that's so cool. All right, we're going to be sharing that one on social media, okay? So, and share it. When we share it, you share it. All right, Cam, you have a lot to share.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the weather department right now. We've got tropics, we are tracking storms, which is why it's been a very busy afternoon. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tropics. The latest on Invest 94L. Winds of 30 miles per hour moving northwest at 17. And taking a look at the latest satellite imagery here with Invest 94L, it looks a lot better organized as it's moving away from the landmass of Hispaniola. In fact, over the next 2 days, it has an 80% chance of development, a 90% chance over the next 7 days that this is going to be a tropical depression or possibly even a tropical storm by this weekend as it moves over the Bahamas. The areas highlighted in red is where we expect it to develop. Right now, though, it's just north of Hispaniola, and as we take a look at the computer spaghetti plot models, there's a big agreement, at least most of them, have this moving towards the southern Bahamas by late day tomorrow. A few outliers have it pushing towards the west, towards Cuba, and then by Saturday afternoon, again, big consensus, this will be right over the central Bahamas, where we are expecting this to become either a tropical depression or storm, and then by late day Sunday, it'll be either over the northern Bahamas or just clearing the northern Bahamas. Then watch what happens as we get into early next week, Monday into Tuesday. Some of the models having it moving right over the state of Georgia into the Carolinas. We have this one, though, it's an outlier that has it moving into the first coast. So this is why we need to monitor and watch Invest 94 fairly closely as we take a look at the long range global models, the European and the GFS. Here's a look as we head into late day Sunday. Both of them agree that this is going to develop, but having it well offshore. And then as we go into Monday, you can see both the models are favoring an inland spot here over the Carolinas. The one that you see in the far right, that is actually right now Umberto. So as we head into early next week, regardless of the development, we're watching the tropics for any rough surf and seas. So mariners and boaters will have to be extra mindful of the rough marine conditions and also the surf as well. It's really going to bump up the surf, and that is likely going to be the case through about midweek next week. So regardless of what it becomes, we are looking at some indirect impacts from what is currently Invest 94L. Live look outside this afternoon. Here's a look out by the theme park. It's getting soaked out there right now where we're currently in the low 80s and in Kissimmee, 90 in Orlando though. And as we take a look at our first warning radar, I do have a couple strong thunderstorms, including this one here over Volusia County, over Samsula and New Smyrna Beach. And then here's a look into Flagler County. We have this strong thunderstorm that's producing winds over 40 miles per hour. This is heading towards the coast there, towards Flagler Beach and Palm Coast. A couple of heavy rain showers here, 18 lightning strikes with these thunderstorms out by the theme park district in southwest Orange County, including out by Windermere and also Disney. And up to the north, we just had a sea breeze collision here, so that's firing up thunderstorms in Sanford and Deltona right now over in Volusia and Seminole counties. We'll continue to see some lingering storms through tonight, and then as we go into late in the overnight hours, showers and thunderstorms should clear on out. So breaking down your 12-hour forecast, going to be a stormy afternoon and evening before things quiet down into the early morning hours. Breaking down your Central Florida certified most accurate 7-day forecast, high rain coverage tomorrow into the upcoming weekend, and we're watching the tropics early next week again for some potential impacts. Right now, either way, looking at some indirect impacts due to marine and surf. More news for you coming up on the other side of the break.
First Warning Weather on WESH 2 is sponsored by Florida Window and Door.
Good news for people who like to look things up the old-fashioned way.
Merriam-Webster is publishing a new edition of its collegiate dictionary. The dictionary includes more than 5,000 new words and phrases, including the self-explanatory cold brew, dad bod, and farm to table. Other slang terms added include Riz. Oh, God, my kids say that. I'll ask your kids about that one. And doom scroll. There's also adulting. I hate adulting. And beast mode. Merriam-Webster's president says although the website gets more than 1 billion visits annually, its 5-pound hardcover book still sells well. I remember my dad's because it was the English-Spanish dictionary.
Oh, so it was double.
This thing was like this, and he always carried it around.
Double the size.
It's like one of my favorite memories. All right, WESH 2 News at 5 is straight ahead.
Michelle and Pratt are here joining us with what's coming up in the next hour. Michelle?
We have more trouble for Universal tonight. A woman just filed a lawsuit against the theme park claiming that she was hurt riding the Stardust Racers roller coaster back in April. And that is the same ride that's currently shut down because a man died after riding it. We are sitting down with the attorney representing the woman behind this new suit. And the peak of hurricane season came and went with very little action. But tonight, we are watching a system that could form in the next few days. What the latest data is saying about potential impacts here in Florida. And Orlando officially has an H Mart. We are taking you to the popular Korean grocery store's grand opening next at 5.
First Warning Weather on WESH 2 is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. Dial #law on your cell phone.